Hello everyone, I'm Darren Griffiths and this is the very first Everton Show.
Misunderstood what you said. When I thought you were crying, but really you were trying, and your minds were virtually dead. Oh, I've seen all the books that you read. Oh, I've seen all the books that you read. So question why all the time people never work it all out. Let's 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 work it all out. Running ahead, was you also running ahead? When I saw you trying, really you were crying, it was all going on in your head.
That's Team Photograph Day, chaotic but an awful lot of fun. Coming up on tonight's programme, we'll hear from a plethora of Everton guests, including the man of the moment Stephen Naismith, new signing Ramiro Funes Mori, and of course the gaffer Roberto Martinez. And look out for our big interview in part 3 of tonight's show, because our inaugural guest is none other than Duncan Ferguson. Alongside me in the studio tonight is one of our club ambassadors. A very warm welcome to Graham Stuart. Only one place to start, Diamond, the win against Chelsea.
Yeah, what a terrific victory that was. I mean, we knew the atmosphere was going to be terrific. The lads certainly didn't let us down with their performance. It was an outstanding game to watch, exciting, and I think the way the lads went about their work was very, very impressive. They hurried Chelsea from minute one, never let them settle. There were times when Chelsea had decent possession, but it was all in front of us. We didn't really see Tim Howard having to work too hard, which was good. Testament to the work the lads did out on the field, and 3 fantastic goals from Stephen Naismith as well.
And Roberto Martinez certainly won the day over Jose Mourinho, didn't he?
He did. It was lively on the park and it was lively off it as well. But no, it was good to see, because look, you're coming to Goodison Park, you know, and Roberto went in and did his press conference. Jose was clearly unhappy that he'd gone first. Decided the fact that he had to travel home was miles more important than Roberto doing his bits and pieces, and he let Roberto know it as well. But I think the way the manager just saw him off was quite impressive.
Wasn't it just? Well, I'm sure we could discuss that terrific afternoon at Goodison Park for the entire duration of the show, but there's much to get through, so let's get some reaction. Certain pundits lauded the performance as the best of Roberto's tenure. Let's hear what the boss himself had to say after he'd seen his players dismantle the champions.
You can imagine, I think the type of opposition that we were facing, it makes it a really exciting performance to analyse. You're looking at in every aspect of the game. We were very, very dynamic. I thought in front of goal, we looked like scoring every single time that we got in the final third. And then overall, the second half I thought it was fantastic in terms of the maturity of knowing how to defend. You're looking at the overall baggage of. Chelsea had 2 shots on target. One is the goal from long distance, and the other one is a header from Radamel Falcao really late. So overall, the performance of the ball was a fantastic team performance, but full of incredible quality individuals that they are growing into something really pleasing to watch, and it's those type of performances that makes you extremely proud.
What can you say about Stephen Naismith's performance?
Again, it typifies the effort, the character that we have at Everton. More than anything, when you're not in the starting 11, all he did is just be focused and be ready to take his moment. And the moment that arrives, all he's doing is put things in place that have really made a difference on the pitch. To score a perfect hat-trick against the current champions, I think it shows you a lot. I think is the type of example that is what we want at Everton, for the youngsters to understand that you need to be ready, you need to prepare yourself, that whenever you are with the opportunity of being on the pitch, you need to take advantage. And I thought it was a real joy to see him enjoying that sort of performance.
Sad to see the 2 players come off, but Funes looked excellent slotting in central defence.
Yeah, really, obviously, really important to see Ramiro having a good introduction. It's not easy to come into the British game, and I thought look at the pace and look at the intensity. Obviously, we'll have to assess Seamus and more over the next 48 hours and see how they are. But what's important is that everyone that had to be alert and ready to come on the pitch, they were fully focused, and I think we're starting to show the strength in the squad, because the numbers that we have now in being able to come in and perform as a team, they are really impressive, and that's what helps you to be consistent over the course of the season, and clearly it showed today.
Quick word on Rom, he's obviously in the team to score goals, but when he performs like he did today, does that create spaces and opportunities for other players that Stephen capitalised on?
Well, it does. I think obviously the hardest thing in football is to score goals, and the hardest thing to defend is when you are predictable. I think today Rom and Aruna, they created such a difficult way of being able to defend, the movement, the power, the pace that they have. Then Ross, I thought it was his best performance in an Everton jersey, and you're starting to add a lot of good aspects in our play. But today I'm keeping the defensive focus, the discipline that we had as a team, because it's all too easy to speak about individuals on the ball. It's about how you can restrict a quality side like Chelsea into 2 shots on target, and that's the difference between last season. Last season we scored 3 goals and we conceded 6. I think it shows you how much we learned from 12 months ago, and clearly the potential in the squad is starting to fulfil.
Well, that was Roberto's post-match reaction, but what about the hat-trick hero himself? Stephen Naismith, don't forget, started the afternoon sitting on the bench in a tracksuit, and he ended it with the match ball stuffed up his royal blue jersey. Was he pleased with his afternoon's work? What do you think?
I've scored a hat-trick before, but not a perfect hat-trick, and I probably didn't realise that until Jags was actually celebrating with me, and he was the one that was shouting in my ear, which a nice surprise. But that's a great feeling personally, but overall it was a good one.
Difficult to choose, 3 clinical finishes, but do you have a favourite goal?
No, I think probably the third one's the one that gives you relief that you've got your hat-trick, but overall the game was pretty tight at that moment, and to get that, you know, you've kind of won the game and you can enjoy the last few moments, so I'm not going to pick a favourite though.
I guess it goes without saying that once you'd got the second, that was on your mind though. You wanted that in your hands today.
Yeah, I think it's, as a forward, when you get goals, it's the hardest part of the game to do, score goals, and when you get 2, and there's so much time left, you definitely feel I've got chances here to get the third, and that was a great ball from Ross for the third, and it was a tight angle, so I thought I've got to hit it low and think the goalie's legs are open, and that's the case.
Talk us through your preparation mentally when you're coming on after just 9 minutes.
It's been a tough start to the season for me, because obviously not played so many games, and as a player it's hard to keep taking when you're on the bench, but you've just got to be ready, and I think there's been a couple of occasions, and definitely in my Everton career, that I've proved that. Fulham away, that the season I scored, that springs to mind, and you never know in football, you just got to make sure you're ready for anything that comes up, and today's a prime example of that.
You always have that confidence then that you can come on any point, make a difference.
Yeah, I've got confidence in my ability, and when I get the opportunities, you've got to prove that when you get the minutes on the park, and today I've done that, so hopefully that's a bright future for me.
You mentioned the assist to Ross. He got 2 in the end to add to his brilliant start to the season. Brendan Galloway put the first one on plate for you, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. The first one, when I've played the ball wide to Brendan, I've known he's had to play it in early for me to beat the defenders, and it was a great ball. And Ross, I think, has probably been the most improved player at the start of the season. He's matured a lot, and he's making the right decisions in most times and most situations in a game, which is great to see.
Diamond, that wasn't just a perfect hat-trick. They were 3 great goals as well, weren't they?
They really were. I mean, the first one was terrific from my perspective. The way Stephen turned on the ball, the layoff to Brendan, and his absolute desire to get in that box as fast as possible. If you actually watch it and break it down, the pace he goes into that box and the desire he shows was brilliant. And the header, it wasn't easy,
no,
but he put it away with aplomb, and it was a really, really good start for him.
And the second goal from the edge of the penalty area, hit it really well, didn't he?
He did. It was a terrific strike off his weaker foot as well. So, you know, that was an unstoppable strike from Steve, and from that moment on, he must have had it in his mind, there's a chance here, this hat-trick, it would be terrific for him.
With regards to build-up play, the third goal was possibly the pick of the bunch.
Yeah, it was some good possession. We retained the ball really well, and then just in that clinical moment, in that final third, when you've got to be incisive, great ball through to him, and he drills it under the goalkeeper, and you know, magic time, hat-trick. So we're all delighted for him, because it was clearly frustrating for him to have started the game on the bench. upsetting for obviously for Mo to have picked up his injury. That would be disappointing. But for Stephen to come on and show the desire and the attitude that he did on the day, that's exactly what we want. That's why Roberto has got a deep squad. You need those moments. You need top-class players coming off the bench for you.
I'm talking about top-class players. Gareth Barry again. Terrific performance, always in the right place, always at the right time.
Yeah, I mean, years and years of experience, technically very good as well, Gareth. His knowledge is second to none, and he's, big games like that, when you've got clever players in and around you, he's just got that experience to take up the right positions and read the game so well. Alongside James McCarthy, who had his best game of the season for me as well. And obviously Ross Barkley, Naisy already said it in his interview there, he's playing some terrific stuff, Ross, and full of confidence.
It took a great goal to beat Tim Howard.
It did, unstoppable. No goalkeeper was ever going to stop that, but it was the only bright spark in Chelsea's day.
It really was an afternoon to remember. Everton 3, Chelsea 1. We'll have more of that, won't we? Well, that's just about it for part 1 of the Everton Show. After the break, we'll bring you an injury update from the manager and we'll review the last couple of weeks for the Under-21s. We'll see you in a few minutes. Welcome back to part 2 of the Everton Show. Well, David Unsworth's Under-21s have made a fairly solid start to the season, and earlier this week they welcomed Sunderland to Goodison Park. Leon Osman and Darren Gibson played for Everton. Wes Brown and Vito Mannone were in the Sunderland side. The rain was incessant and it ended all square.
Leandro Rodriguez was on the scoresheet for Everton Under-21s again on Monday evening. The Uruguayan took just 4 minutes to notch against Sunderland at Goodison Park, latching on to Leon Osman's pass before finishing well. Osman played the full 90 minutes on his return from injury, while Darren Gibson also came through 75 minutes unscathed, as both players made their first appearances of the season. But Everton couldn't cling on to their 1-goal lead as Duncan Watmore levelled with 10 minutes left. Afterwards, though, coach David Unsworth admitted the result was probably a fair one.
Probably a fair result. We started really brightly. Competed well and scored a great first goal. But then we sort of took our foot off the gas a little bit, didn't really dominate the ball as much as we would like. We stopped making passes and we stopped dominating the possession and slowly but surely Sunderland came back into the game. They're a good team. Sunderland are a good team. We knew that before the start of the game. They beat Man City last week and we knew it would be a tough game tonight no matter what team they put out.
Your old teammate, David Unsworth, Diamond, he's doing a smashing job, isn't he?
He is doing a terrific job. It's a job that he's really excited by, that he's very dedicated to as well. And he shows a great deal of pride in bringing these youngsters through. And, every so often you get couple of the senior boys coming in and, he's doing a really good job. Would
you like to see more of that, Graham? We had Leon Osman and Darren Gibson both coming back from injury layoffs, playing for the Under-21s. It doesn't happen as much as it used to.
No, it doesn't. I mean, obviously, you've only got the 3 overage players that you're allowed to play in the Under-21s, which makes it difficult for the senior players to get this match fitness. Now, Gibbo's been out for a while. Ozzy's coming back from an injury as well. So for Ozzy to get the 90 minutes, Gibbo to 75, brilliant news. But it's a situation that's difficult, whereas when I was a young lad, if you got your fitness in the reserves and then went into the first team fully fit, now, the lads are invariably going into the first team straight away and trying to get their match fitness in first team football, which isn't ideal.
And also, when you were a kid at Chelsea, you played your reserve games at Stamford Bridge. The boys now don't play that often at Goodison, so it must be a terrific experience for them to run out to Z-Cars and have a go on the main pitch.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, all players want to play on the main pitch, don't they? And that's great for the lads. It's inspirational just to run out at Goodison with, like you say, Daz, with Z-Cars coming out and a good night as well, chucking it down with rain so the ball would have been fizzing around on the pitch. I'm sure they really enjoyed themselves.
Leandro Rodriguez, we don't know too much about him, but he's played 2 games for the 21s and scored 2 goals.
Yeah, ideal start for Leandro, so he's going to be ecstatic about that. It does take a while to settle in to English conditions, but he's certainly made a good fist of it so far.
And his English is very good, which is good for us from a media perspective. He's a really nice kid. Well, as we move forward here on the Everton Show, we'll be doing our best to get under the skin of the football club. We'll profile the excellent work that gets done away from the football pitch, and there's nowhere better to start on this, our very first programme, than with Everton in the community. The Everton Free School has been a huge success story, and earlier this week the official opening was performed at the excellent Spellow Lane facility, and of course the Everton Show was on the guest list.
It's a celebration of a school that was a dream and a vision is now in a reality. And yes, we've been here since September 2012 on different sites, and now we're on our brand new school, and it's just a wonderful moment to celebrate the lives of young people, many of whom succeed brilliantly here and go on to greater things, and perhaps wouldn't have done so had a facility like this and a vision and a dream like this become reality. Kevin Miras went around the school, had a look at met some of the students, and saw what was going on in the classroom and the sports hall.
My English is not good. I think I'll come in next Monday, a little bit here.
Oh, you'll come next Monday for a lesson?
Yeah.
And you can join ours?
Yeah.
I teach you a little bit
Yeah,
then, that's
no
great.
problem.
Yeah, no problem.
And Roberto was very generous in giving his time to listen to the speeches and to be here and to say some very kind words.
Well, it's an honour and a privilege to be invited today here for the official opening of the Everton Free School as the Everton manager. You can imagine that most of the ideals and the values that we have as Evertonians, or that we have in our football club, are shared with this project. The commitment to the community, pursuing the excellence and allowing youngsters to develop and encourage them to develop, and that's why it's such a fascinating project in front of us. To provide a high quality and inspirational education for the young people of Liverpool is now a reality, and that's a huge achievement. What I would say is that any huge achievement starts with an idea, and it starts with a vision. And for me, that idea and vision is Denise Harry Baxendale has been that idea and that vision that makes outstanding achievements to happen. And I would like to tell you, Denise, that thank you for that vision that you have, and even a bit further, that your energy and drive is a true inspiration for everyone at Everton.
Well, it's incredible. I mean, you can't deny that being on 3 or 4 sites, communications are difficult, and there's that sense of unity when you come onto one site. You do really feel you belong as part of a family. You're together on one site, and to have such a splendid and beautiful building to work in every day, it just lifts the spirits. And the results from this year's examinations are if anything, there to go by. We've got a great future ahead.
Diamond, we were there for the launch, Roberto unveiling the plaque. It's a tremendous facility, isn't it?
It really is a really impressive building, and a comfortable building as well. You walk in there and immediately, it doesn't necessarily feel like a school. I mean, it's got all the facilities required, clearly, but it's a really nice, comfortable setting for the kids to come into. Lovely place for the teachers to teach in as well, and clearly it's working, because we were listening to the attendance records. They're up in the 90%. All the people who've done their exams have passed them with flying colours, and we had 3 young kids there with, terrific stories to tell, and they're just 3.
Did they speak, by the way?
They spoke really eloquently. Under a bit of pressure as well. There was a few dignitaries there, and they got up on the couch with your dads and spoke very, very well, and were clearly impressed. They've turned their lives totally around through Everton Free School.
And the Free School is less than a goal kick away from Goodison Park, so it makes everybody feel a part of the football club, and you and I know from vast experience the power of the football club with regards to community initiatives is immeasurable.
Well, it is, but using that power in the correct way is vitally important, and Denise Baxendale and Robert Elston do a terrific job, along with huge amounts of people behind the scenes who normally don't get a mention but should do, and a lot of unsung heroes, and goes towards making this a real success story and something we should be really, really proud of.
It is Everton in the community, but it's the community and beyond. You and I have been in Thailand and Singapore, for example.
Yeah, I mean, we send our coaches out to Thailand and Singapore, and we get in the communities out there and train the kids and what have you, and give them as much information from a coaching perspective as we possibly can.
Well, Everton in the community, by reputation, is just about the best community initiative in the Premier League, if not European football, if not world football. Well, one of the many successes on the pitch to emerge from the win against Chelsea was another assured display from young defender Brendan Galloway. The boy doesn't turn 20 until next March, but he already looks the part on the Premier League stage. The man who had the courage to give Galloway his place in the spotlight was, of course, Roberto Martinez, and the manager explained why he's keen to hand the player a new contract.
Well, really important because always we felt that Brendan had that potential. That's why we made sure that we put a lot of effort to bring him in to the football club from MK Dons, where he had a very good education. What is true as well is that he had a quicker development than we expected, and that goes down to his own personality and his own character. Nothing phases him. He's always ready to improve. He's always ready to perform. And at the football club, we always do the same. When we see a player that he gets ahead of his own program, that needs to get rewarded. That's not going to be the last contract. It's going to be just the next step, and we expect Brendan to carry on with his development over the course of the season and in years to come. He's only 19. He's one of those players that is a joy to work with, but it brings you a real excitement about the potential that he has, because he's a very good defender. He's someone that he can be left 1v1 situations, very, very good in the air, and then he's got electric pace to get forward and have that final ball like we saw in the first goal for Stephen Naismith cross. So as a young prospect, again, a very high credit needs to go to everyone that works at Finch Farm behind the scenes to allow our youngsters to be ready when the big opportunities arrive.
Darren, Brendan's 19 years of age, but in some ways he's been under the radar a little bit, hasn't he? Because there's been a lot of spotlight on your Ross Barkleys and particularly John Stones, but Brendan's gone about his business. He's had a little knock for the injury, but he's done tremendously well. He
has, terrific as well. And I mean, that performance before Chelsea, he'd been out for a couple of weeks as well. So to come back in and perform at the level he did against the champions was a terrific result for him. You're right, he has gone under the radar a little bit. He seems quite a quiet, unassuming lad, but clearly somebody with plenty of talent. I think the belief that Brendan will now get from playing in that game against Chelsea and performing in the manner he did will fill him with loads of confidence and realise that he deserves to be on that stage.
Who would be a left-sided player at Everton at the moment, by the way? Leighton Baines is out injured. Stephen Pienaar's had a knock, Tom Cleverley, Luke Garbett even, and Brendan himself, Brian Oviedo as well. It's jinxed, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's, don't be a left-sided player, especially at Everton Football Club, but I think we'll be wrapping Brendan up in cotton wool for the time being.
It's all right having young players with the ability to play on the Premier League stage. You need a manager brave enough to give them that platform.
Of course, and Roberto's shown that over the period of time that he's been at the football club. He's not afraid to blood these youngsters. I mean, they're knocking on the door, and he gives them the opportunity. We've seen it, with numerous players. Matty Pennington started in the Capital One Cup game. Acquitted himself really well on that right-hand side. It was unfortunate he was involved in a situation where we perhaps had to change things to get ourselves back in the game. But he played very well at Barnsley as well. So another player who has performed at a very high level and very, very well.
The young players at Everton Football Club know full well that the pathway to the first team is very much illuminated. Well, that rounds off part 2 of our programme, but there's plenty more to come on the Everton Show. And after this short break, we'll bring you a sit-down interview with Duncan Ferguson. Welcome back to part 3 of the Everton Show. Now, for many Evertonians, the reuniting of Duncan Ferguson and Wayne Rooney at Goodison Park for the match against Villarreal in August was something of a dream come true. England's record goalscorer was only too pleased to help out the man he still considers his hero, and the Evertonians were certainly glad to see one of their own back in the royal blue jersey. It topped a special day for Duncan Ferguson, an Everton icon who traditionally shies away from media spotlight, but was only too happy to sit down with me during the summer. Let's go right back to the beginning when you first came down to Everton, on loan from Glasgow Rangers, of course, when Mike Walker was the manager and you came down with Ian Durant. What were your first impressions of Everton? Because I would imagine you didn't know a great deal about the football club then.
Not a great deal, but I certainly knew a little bit about it. I knew that there was rumoured to be I was going to move to Everton when I was younger. I knew Howard Kendall had inquired about me at Dundee United. I didn't know that at the time, but subsequently a few months later, I started to get wind that Everton were interested. It never quite happened then. So to then come back to Everton later on, it was fantastic, and it was a great opportunity for myself.
You scored your first goal for Everton in a Merseyside derby. We didn't really know it then, but that was typical Duncan Ferguson, pure theatre, wasn't it? That was a special night.
Yeah, it was. It was my first derby match in England, and it was Big Joe's first game. So yeah, it was all there for us. It was a fantastic night, and obviously for a corner kick, it was great delivery, and I managed to get my head on it. So it was a special moment for myself and for the club.
When you look back at highlights of your time at Everton Football Club, I suppose the 2 goals that were 10 years apart against Manchester United, will spring to mind?
Yeah, it was. It was fantastic. To be 10 years apart, 2 headers, Gladys Street. Obviously, the second one, I wasn't taking my shirt off. You know, the 10 years had certainly been shown. But it was a fantastic atmosphere that night in the second game. It was a night game. It was just tremendous, and it was a tremendous feeling. Really, that was probably the last big moment in such a big game that I scored in. And it was the winner as well. It's always nice to get a 1-0.
It was a massive game, wasn't it? Because we were closing in on a Champions League slot at the time.
That's right, we're on a fantastic run, and it was, you know, and I think a lot of teams thought we were going to come unstuck there. But no, we put in a great performance. The team was fantastic, a really high intensity game, and you know, I managed to get my head on one for Mikel Arteta's delivery, who again has got top quality. So yeah, it was a good moment, and I keep on reminding Tim about it every time we pass by.
You clattered Tim once or twice as well, didn't you, when he was at Manchester United?
Well, yeah, he keeps on telling me that as well. I'm sure I've got a few bruises as well, to be fair, because he's a big lad, and I certainly wouldn't want to be clashing with him now.
When you were playing, Duncan, you were known for dishing it out a little bit, but you'd get it back as well, wouldn't you?
Always, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, when my back was turned, they would occasionally hit me. But no, it was I just played the game hard. I played against a lot of centre backs who played hard, and you know, yeah, I've got plenty of scars to prove that.
Is a Duncan Ferguson type centre forward a dying breed these days? Possibly the game's changed a little bit. They play a lot more for the back. Build-up plays a lot more. It's a bit slower. So maybe teams or academies are recruiting a different type of player. I'm not quite sure, but I'm certainly believe there's still a room for good target men. Just want to go back to that second Manchester United goal. Martin Tyler was doing the commentary, and he said time and again that he swears that the stadium shook when that goal went in. Is it possible for you to describe to us what it's like when you score a big goal at the Gladys Street and they go berserk?
Well, it's impossible really to explain it. It's just a massive adrenaline rush. For the 30 seconds after action, you know, you don't understand what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing, really, to be honest with you. But no, it's really hard to explain. It's just a fantastic dream, really, and it's just you wish it goes on. It can go on forever, you know. It's a special thing.
Your relationship with Howard Kendall's a special thing as well, isn't it? You still call him boss, don't you?
Top man. He's a top man, isn't he? He's a legend, proper legend. You know, a successful manager. He's a great inspiration to myself. I still speak to him as much as I can, and you know, I learn a lot from him. He's a great man. He's a proper gentleman and a proper Evertonian.
What did it mean when Howard gave you the captain's armband?
Outstanding. It was tremendous. I mean, who would do that? You know what I mean? Really, looking on the outside, who would give it maybe their, you know, their possibly the most controversial player really in their team. But it was just tremendous. He saw something in me, and you know, he believed in me. And to give me that captain armband, it meant the world.
When you were away, having your sabbatical, you were in Spain and you're out of football. Did you think about your time at Everton much?
All the time, every day. I mean, when you retire, every player all around the world thinks about their career, thinks about every day what you could have done better. You know, and all the good memories as well. So you think about football constantly, 24 hours a day, really. So when I retired for football, I was thinking about Everton. I was thinking about my career, and you know, and that's what you do, because it's the only thing you know, isn't it?
Could you have gone anywhere else when you left Everton, Doug?
Yeah, I had a couple of offers to stay in the Premier League. I spoke to 2 different managers at the time. They wanted to speak to me, so I gave them the courtesy to speak to them. But also, you know, to tell them that I wasn't going to continue playing. I wanted to finish at Everton. I stuck to that. They offered me good contracts to continue, and I decided to knock them back because I felt as if I wanted to remember myself as an Everton player, and I'm really glad that I did that.
I was going to say, what would it be like to play against Everton? But of course, you did do for Newcastle United. That must have been quite strange for you.
It was terrible. It's hard, you know, because obviously, I mean, Newcastle was a tremendous club, and you know, I've got tremendous fans up there as well, and I had a great relationship with them. But to come back home and play against Everton, it was just, it was incredibly difficult.
You couldn't go around smashing an Everton centre half, really, could you?
No, not really. No, because they probably have smashed me back. no net to. But. No, I mean, it's hard. It's really hard. It's hard to explain. You've got to try and do your best, but it's very hard to put a performance in.
From the day you came to Everton back in '94 to the day you left, you've played with some terrific players, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of great players and who have helped me through my career and who obviously were there to give me the service, like boys like Andy Hinchcliffe, you know, who, there's far too many players to single out, but there's a lot of great players and a lot of great professionals.
Who did you enjoy playing alongside up top?
Oh, up top, Kevin Campbell maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kevin Campbell was a
that
great
would have been
player.
a handful.
Yeah. I'm as big as him now, and he was when he played. But no, he's a tremendous player. He scored a lot of goals for Everton. He certainly contributed to one season, he keeping us up. I think it was the season I left. But during the season, he came in and scored a lot of goals. I think he scored about 9 goals or something in X amount of games. So, yeah, Kevin was a tremendous player, and he was certainly one that I would think about. But there were other boys like Fanny Jeffers, boys like that, you know, who come through young, Scouser, good Evertonian. So, there's and obviously you've got other players, haven't you? So.
Duncan Ferguson and Wayne Rooney was a dream ticket as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah. Well, for a little part we played, Wayne obviously never played so many games, I think. He played about 70, 80 games, so that was a great feeling. You know, Wayne's he's a tremendous player, isn't he? He's turned out to be a world-class player, and I think we all knew that at the time.
Did you know that Wayne would go on and break all records and win 100 caps and score all the goals for England?
I think we did, barring injury. Simple as that. I mean, he's a top-class player. He still is a top-class player, and I think barring keeping yourself healthy and playing X amount of games, it's going to get you that total, isn't it? And he's got a tremendous talent, tremendous player, and I think we all knew that he was going to go on and be what he is.
Diamond, you were a teammate of Duncan Ferguson's. Everybody knows what he was like on the football field. Were you as surprised as everybody else when he went into coaching?
I was a little bit, to be honest with you. I know he'd gone out to Spain to live and, as you called it, as a sabbatical out there, and he had a nice lifestyle. But I think it was too quiet for him in the end. I think he'd get up and he'd drop his kids at school and maybe pop down the gym and have a cup of coffee on the seafront and what have you. But that can get a little bit lonely. It sounds lovely, doesn't it? But I think that can get a little bit boring after a while. It sounds perfect, but a fella who's been used to the buzz of playing football matches and what have you. I think the lure of football, full stop, was too much for him.
Duncan Ferguson off the field was nothing like the marauding centre forward who terrorised centre halves up and down the Premier League.
No, I mean, 3 o'clock come on a Saturday afternoon and Duncan livened up, didn't he? But off the pitch he was quite a quiet guy. He liked to laugh and a joke in the dressing room. Of course he did. He was good with the banter kind of stuff. But he loved his pigeons. You'd never attribute pigeons with Duncan either, would you? But quite a quiet, unassuming guy off the pitch. When
Andy Hinchcliffe put the ball inside the penalty area on the money and Duncan was on the end of it, those two were virtually unplayable.
It's unstoppable, isn't it? Because Andy Hinchcliffe had a wonderful left foot. His delivery, especially at set pieces, was nigh on perfect. And if you've got a Duncan Ferguson who fancies winning it, it's a no-brainer. There's only one place it's going to end up, in the back of the net. And fortunately for us, on numerous occasions, it did.
Just going back to Duncan Ferguson, the coach, when he came back to Everton, he started off at the academy and he really put a shift in, didn't he? He worked really hard to show everybody at the football club that he was deadly serious.
Oh, he was, yeah. I mean, he was deadly serious. I'd spoken to Duncan on a few occasions, and he said he was coming back and he was going to really give it a good crack at the whip. And he's certainly done that, and he's dedicated himself to it, and he's deservedly where he is now on the first team, in the first team picture.
And he's still got a great relationship with the fans. There aren't many first team coaches that get their names chanted every Saturday afternoon.
No, I mean, it's terrific, isn't it? And he was a talisman for the football club, wasn't he? So the fans see him on that bench on a Saturday, and I'm keep waiting for the moment Dunk jumps off the bench and has an altercation with their bench. I'm sure it'll happen one day. But anybody, we saw it with his testimonial, didn't we? The 37,000 or so that turned up on that day speaks volumes for what they think of Duncan Ferguson.
And of course, he's another ex-Everton player on the Everton coaching staff. There are plenty down there at Finch Farm.
There are. I mean, Kevin Sheedy's down there, Franny Jeffers is down there, Phil Jevons, John Doolan, John Ebrell. Unzi's back there obviously as well. We've talked about Unzi. So it's good to see that. Overlooking it all is Big Joe Royle. So there's a good core of ex-Evertonians who know what's required at the football club, know what the fans require at the football club as well.
How good is it to see Joe Royle down there every day, by the way?
Oh, it's brilliant because, there's a huge amount of respect. As soon as you mention Joe Royle, You know it's Everton through and through, from a player through to a manager, through to somebody overlooking the academy system. Now we're in good hands.
Well, you talk about people who are Evertonians, legends and gentlemen, and Joe Royle certainly fits that bill, doesn't he? Well, we'll take another short break now, but don't go too far away, because in the final part of our show, we'll be looking ahead to Saturday's game at the Liberty Stadium against Swansea City. Welcome back to the fourth and final part of the Everton Show, and all our focus now is on the Premier League match in South Wales this weekend. Graham, Stuart, Swansea City looking decent, Nick?
They do, up until last week when they got beat at Watford, but that was a surprise for me. I fancied Swansea at Watford last week, so they'll be smarting off the back of that, so makes it doubly difficult for us at Swansea on Saturday.
He's done a smashing job, Gary Monk, hasn't he?
He has, really good job. Good young manager coming through, clearly knew the football club inside out anyway, so it was a good fit for Swansea to appoint him as a full-time manager. But no, he's done a terrific job, brought some good players in as well, and I expect them to be, certainly top half of the Premier League.
When you look at their players, John Joe Shelvey stands out, doesn't he?
I think he's been very, very good, John Joe Shelvey. It's no surprise he's been entered into the England setup. I think he was a decent player when he was at Liverpool, but probably a little bit immature with it. But certainly when he's gone to Swansea, Gary Monk's told him that you're in the middle of the midfield. I need some maturity from you, some good performances. He certainly delivered.
It's certainly a difficult place to go, the Liberty Stadium these days. And a return to Swansea City, of course, is always a special journey for Roberto Martinez. The Swans provided him with his first job in management, and he's still revered in that part of the world for the part he played in getting the club to where it is today. On Saturday, though, he'll get his usual round of warm greetings over and done with. Then he'll set about tackling a side who have continued the excellent form they showed last term.
I think they started where they left it last campaign. Very impressive season. The way that they've been able to be flexible. They are a unit that they work extremely hard for each other, but clearly they are a technical side. They're a side that they want to get the ball. They're a possession team, and they've got players in very good moments of form. Then you got the new signings. They adapted really well into the pace of the game, from Ayew to different solid, experienced players that they show continuity in the side. This team is ready to replicate the real success that they had last campaign. So we know that the way they perform against Manchester United wasn't an accident at all. That's the way that they play, and when you go to the Liberty Stadium, you're going to be heavily tested, and I think it's going to be a really good game of football because of the way that the two teams are and the good moments of form that we all both taken into the game.
What does it say about Ayew to come into a new league and win the Player of the Month award in August?
Very impressive. You don't get that sort of adaptation so quickly. You need to be a very intelligent human being away from being a footballer, that he can adapt to the physicality of the league. I think he's a clever footballer, technically very, very gifted. He gets in very good goal-scoring positions, and then he's very calm and composed on those. I think it's credit to the manager, Gary Monk, and the environment that is created around him, and allow him to be relaxed and just allow him to be himself. And then obviously is a team effort to allow a player to feel good and to contribute, especially when you arrive to a new country and a new way of playing, a new league. So huge credit needs to go to the manager to create that environment.
Graham, as we've just said, they're a difficult place to go to, the Liberty Stadium. A point wouldn't be the worst result in the world.
No, I think a point wouldn't be too bad. It would keep that momentum going that we've built up at the early part of this season. But such is the nature of our victory against Chelsea and the away win at Southampton and the good point at White Hart Lane. I think the lads quite rightly will fancy the chances of picking up all 3 points.
Good performances and good results really raise the bar of expectation, don't they?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the difficulty, isn't it? Once you start picking up big wins like that, expectation levels go through the roof. So we've got to just keep a lid on it a little bit. I mean, it's one fantastic victory for us last week, but this is a difficult place to go, as we've mentioned. So if we did pick up a point, I certainly wouldn't be overly disappointed.
I like the way Ashley Williams conducts himself at the heart of the Swansea defence. Yeah,
he's their captain. He leads the way at the back, doesn't he? He organises everything well, gets John Joe Shelvey sorting everybody out in the middle of midfield in front of him as well. So vital that your captain has an influential role, and Ashley Williams is a good player.
Long trip to Swansea at the weekend, then a long trip to Reading on Tuesday night in the Capital One Cup. That's a competition that we've got to think about winning.
Yeah, because I think realistically, you know, the Capital One Cup and the FA Cup represent our best chance of picking up silverware, which is what we're all craving for. But it could be a difficult game, yes. I mean, it depends. I'm sure Roberto will make 1 or 2 changes, but I don't think it's a game you probably want to tinker too much with because, as you quite rightly say, Darren, we should be thinking about trying to win a cup.
Long journey, so we know from experience that it will go to extra time and penalties, and we won't get back till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Well, I don't care because I think you and Snods are doing
It's
that
me and
game.
Snods in the
So as long as I don't care how long it takes, as long as we get the positive result at the end of it and we're still in the hat.
It is all about just getting through to the next round of the Capital One Cup. The performance is secondary, isn't it?
It is to a degree. I mean, obviously, you want good performances. Normally, if you perform well, you get what you get what you deserve in the end, and that's a win. But certainly, we've got numerous players. For example, Gerard Deulofeu, his performance in that second half is a huge reason as why we're still in the cup. So whoever comes in and whoever starts that game, come on, let's get through the game.
It's another big week for Everton Football Club. Well, after all the drama of the tremendous victory against Chelsea at Goodison, it was perhaps excusable to overlook the debut of Ramiro Funes Mori. The Argentinian was pressed into action when Seamus Coleman was forced off with an injury. He then proceeded to acquit himself really, really well, and having enjoyed his first taste of Premier League action, he now wants a bit more of it at Swansea.
Well, it's going to be a tough game, you know. Every game in the Premier League are very hard, so we have to keep on working hard and keep winning games. So to be at the top places in the table.
You could come up against a fellow Argentine international, Federico Fazio. What can you tell us about him?
Well, he's a very strong player. You know, he's been in most of his career in Europe, so he has a lot of experience and obviously to have a good game.
You've trained with our strikers now for a little while, Romelu Lukaku, Stephen Naismith, Aruna Kone. Do you think they can cause him some problems?
Yeah, I think they are very good forwards. You know, you have to always be the moment that, you know, I practice with them. They're very strong players and very smart players, so obviously I hope they have a good game and score for us. It's a lot better for us.
Can that help you as well to train with players like that?
Yeah, obviously, because, you know, they're strong players, players that have good movement and obviously they score goals. So you have to be focused and every time and keep on learning, you know, and as a player to defend well.
Diamond, he wasn't on the pitch long against Chelsea, but didn't he do well?
He did very well. I fully expected it as well. I mean, he's clearly a top player, and we had the delight of seeing that as well. Good opportunity for him as well. It's always nicer to come on when you're 3-1 up, and you know there's a great vibe around the place. So clearly he was comfortable with that, and he showed it.
He went up and won his first header conclusively against Diego Costa, and you could hear the murmur around the stadium, thinking we've got a good player here.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's clearly not very well known before he came to Everton, but we saw his credentials. The manager recognised how good a player he was, spent the money, and the Evertonians have seen, not for a long time, but for 10 minutes or so on Saturday, what he's all about.
Wasn't shy to bring the ball out of defence either, was he?
No, that was good as well to see. You know, good to have a left-footed centre half in our lineup as well. You know, that was nice. It's good to know that in the future that we can rely on somebody with a left foot as well. So all in all, brilliant for him.
If you're going to slot into the back four of a Premier League football team, the fact that he speaks perfect English, it must help.
Yeah, because especially at the back four, it's vitally important that you communicate. And, you know, you've got Jags or Stonesy or whoever alongside you there. You know, you've got to be able to, speak the lingo, as it were. And, you know, clearly his grasp of the English language is very, very good. So that is not a hurdle we're going to have to overcome.
The defence kept a clean sheet at Southampton, another clean sheet at Tottenham, conceded 1 goal against Chelsea, and that was a wonder goal. Just conceding 1 goal in those 3 games, you'd have taken that, wouldn't you?
Oh, of course you would have, yeah. And I mean, it's testament to the work that's being done on the training ground. Clearly, Roberto has looked to keep a settled back four, or back five if you include Tim Howard in that as well. And I think that's important as well because, you know, if you can name the same team, or certainly your same back five, you know, it helps that momentum, it helps that understanding, and when you're keeping clean sheets, you know, you don't want to change something that's not broken.
Tim's been in good nick, hasn't he? Really good nick.
Yeah, won the Player of the Month, didn't he, as well, and deservedly so. He's made some terrific saves. He's kept us in games at certain times as well. So, you know, clearly Tim has come back from his break in the summer, refreshed, ready to go again, working hard, and showing us exactly what we already knew, that he's a top-class goalkeeper.
And Funes Mori, it's not the most analytical way to assess a defender's credentials, but we'd like to think if he's an Argentinian international, the players he's training with, he must be a right good defender.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. When you're going to kind of come up against the likes of Messi and Aguero and people like that, you know, you're going to have to be on your toes. But, you know, he showed he's good in the air, comfortable on the ball, you know, and we're going to see an awful lot more of him. There's no doubt about that.
Just finally from yourself, Graham, what about the away support this season? It's been unbelievable.
Well, it is. I mean, the Evertonians love a day out, don't they? You know, they make the most of it and they turn up in their thousands, and I know for a fact the lads really do appreciate that. We all do. You know, it creates a terrific atmosphere, and thankfully, so far this season, we've given the travelling supporters an awful lot to shout about. So, you know, we'll look to continue that throughout the season.
Barnsley, South Yorkshire, Wednesday night, live on the television. 5,500 Evertonians.
Says it all. Says all you need to know about the desire and the passion that our fans have for the football club. You know, all you've got to do is pull on that shirt and give 90 minutes of effort and desire and quality, and they'll back you all the way, our fans.
And they'll be there in their thousands in South Wales at the weekend. Well, that just about wraps things up for our very first Everton show. My thanks to Graham Stuart alongside me. Thanks to all of you who've been watching. We very much enjoyed your company. We hope you've enjoyed watching, and we hope you'll join us again, same time, same place next week. We were dancing at Goodison Park last Saturday, weren't we? Let's hope we're singing in the valleys this weekend.